103. And on page 103, we are looking at the law of the inner circle and dynamics of the female exclusion. The book reads, the inner circle comprises individuals in close proximity to a leader occupying a seat of power or authority, such as a business magnate or a leading politician or a head of state. These individuals often receive important information regarding affairs of the organization or state firsthand before the general public, and as a result are occasionally consulted regarding policies that impact those leaders, organization, or constituencies. At higher levels of power, this inner circle may consist of cabinet ministers, special advisors to a head of state, as well as other affluent business people. In most cases, these individuals or members or the inner circle gain more influence in this realm than the general public or other stakeholders with less proximity to the seat of power. In the context of a typical work environment, the inner circle may consist of the senior leadership team, responsible for organizational decision-making, and certain allies tasked with sustaining the organization's operation. Nonetheless, whatever the sector, the influence of the inner circle is beyond our wildest imaginations. The Godfather influence in civil society funding, I'm sure most of the people in the civil society might also have experienced this. The majority of survey respondents indicated that males have their own inner circles comprised of godfather type mentors, king makers, and gatekeepers who in fact control the system and organizational culture. Recruitment into the inner circle can only be initiated by the godfather, and value is determined by how well members of the circle can maintain or sustain the godfather's influence and control. In civil society, this godfather role is usually taken up by someone who can influence funding and is in the good graces of donors. They exert influence over the benefactors due to their ability to influence which organization receive what finances or what funding goes to whom, as well as which personnel should be employed by which organization. So, and then we hear this person who is saying resources are directed by the Boys Club, and they are the ones who get more funding. As women's organization, we only get breadcrumbs that are falling off from the Godfather's table. It is such a challenge for women's organization to get funding. They are gatekeepers who are there to safeguard the men's organizations. So those are the issues that have been coming up. And if we go on in saying the Godfather syndrome can present challenges for women-led civil society organizations. Frequently, women are unable to secure donor funding due to absence of an advocate at the negotiating table. As a result of their underrepresentation within inner circle platforms, women-led organizations receive less than 25% of the funding allocated to civil society, a statistic I discovered while conducting a scoping review on philanthropy. So when we look at these experiences where there is the inner circle, and it is something that you can't run away from, the inner circles are there. They are there even in political parties, they are there in organizations, they are there in churches, they are there in families, where the people who are closer to power, people who are closer to those who make decisions, they have more access than other people who are not in those circles. And when you look at the example which was given by most of the respondents to the survey that I sent out when I was writing this book, they were also referring to women's organizations, that they are not able to attract much resources because the godfathers, the king makers are men, and most of the times they are the ones who are in the inner circle. They get more resources while the women are excluded. So with this experience that I have read, that many women shared. I just wanted to check from Honorable Loyce to say, with your world experience of occupying higher positions, we're talking of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. Now you are at the National Prosecuting Authority. You have been a High Court judge. We have held so many high positions. What is your comment on women who are being excluded from deserving positions because they are not closer to the inner circle, which is usually dominated or controlled by men? What would be your experience or the comment that you can give, because there are not so many women who are important to be influencing the position of the country or controlling some of these organizations. So I'll hand over to you, Honorable, if you are able to come in and speak briefly about that. I hope your coffee will not creep in while you are talking. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olivia. Yes, it's very true. This topic of the exclusion of women from deserving positions due to lack of proximity to male-dominated inner circles is deeply concerning, and it hinders our nation's progress. Because at the end of the day, we only realize and we keep seeing men joining these higher ranks more than women. But let me just thank God that in the legal field, especially in government, we've now started seeing more women coming in. In the judiciary, we now have more women judges. And it has actually helped in resolving issues, especially issues to deal with women. You can testify that women have been harassed illegally by our male counterparts. And in the past, because the presiding officers, the judges were mainly males, these cases were just getting lenient punishments. But when women joined the ranks, when they became magistrates, they became judges, we are starting to see rape cases, domestic violence cases against women being dealt with decisively. So when women occupy positions of power, countries benefit, the nation benefits. But we still have too much society dominated by males. But I'm also happy that our government has realized that, and it has enacted laws to try and empower women. If you look at section 2, for example, which deals with the gender balance, the law now says that that's the constitution, the highest law of the land. The state must promote full gender balance in Zimbabwean society. And in particular, the state must promote the full participation of women in all spheres of Zimbabwean society on the basis of equality with men. So this was a realization that there is no equality between women and men by our government, which is something very positive. First, I think you all know that as women, we maintained our minority status until 1982, when we had the Legal Age of Majority Act, which was enacted, which gave women majority. Before marriage, women were controlled by their fathers. After marriage, they were under their husbands as minority. They could not make any decisions. If women were employed, they could only become teachers, nurses. That was the end of it. It was only recently that we started seeing women breaking the class ceilings, because women started getting educated. In a daughter and a boy child was preferred to a girl child. They would rather send a boy child to school than a girl child, even if the girl child was brilliant. In my family, we were 6 girls and 3 boys, but preference was given to boys. If the 2 of us were studying, my elder brothers, 2 and myself, I would be asked to go and cook for the boys so that they could continue studying. They didn't realize that I also needed time to study. On only now they realize that girls can even look after the families better than boys. But that was not realized. So in terms of the inner circles, it's still being run by the men. And we have few women in the inner circles, because where these men meet and the times which they meet, sometimes ladies would want to be with our children and they want to meet in those bars, in whatever places, and you just don't want to be seen there. So they for that we remain excluded by choosing venues where you don't fit in, because there's resistance from men. And us as women, I think we should now bring men on the table and have the discussion with men, so that they understand that once you give women resources, you have resourced the nation. High time that we get these male inner circles appreciating that and stop favoring their male counterparts. So we really need now to implement the laws. I can say that in Zimbabwe we've got very good laws on paper, but the problem is with implementation of those laws. But government has done a lot in trying to implement the laws, because with commissions, the law says 50 must be males, 50 females. So when Parliament is choosing, for example, commissioners to the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, if the chairperson is a woman, then the deputy is male. And then you have got the even number of commissioners. If it's 4-4, it's 4 females, 4 males. So that's happening now in government. But in the private sector, we are not seeing that. In the private sector, it's still dominated by males mainly. So I think government is doing better than the private sector and better than the civil society organizations. And a lot needs to be done. We need to increase women's representation in leadership position. We can use the quota system if need be, or use affirmative action. We can set quotas or targets for women representation in leadership position. We also require mentoring and sponsorship. Women in leadership position must take the lead in providing mentorship and sponsorship opportunities for others. But as women, sometimes we've got problems. We've got the pull it down mentality. Once we have a woman occupying the top position and we have other women, it's very difficult for those women to support another woman. And we need to change as women. We now need to learn to support each other, just as our male counterparts do. Our male counterparts, even if the other one is wrong, they still support that person in meetings. And you wonder where they are getting those arguments from. But they will actually, when you go to the vote, they will vote against something which is common. They will vote against that. And the colleague would win. So we need to address also unconscious bias by conducting trainings and education programs to raise awareness of unconscious bias and promote inclusive practices. I think by taking these steps, we can create a more equitable and inclusive society where women have equal opportunities to succeed in leadership roles. And women, when you occupy higher position, let's also pull other women up. Yes, let's do that as women. So for this part, that will be my comment.
Wow. Wow, thank you very much, Honorable, for such a comprehensive response. For me, I really like the example that we have given on when we have more women in positions, especially like when we had more women who are now judges or presiding officers, you would find that the cases of domestic violence, they are taken seriously. And you would also find even cases of rape, they are now given stiffer penalties than previously when they were dominated by male judges. So I think it's something that is really critical. I was attending one of the sessions for women in finance, and one comment which I really liked that came out was, if we didn't have women in leadership in high position, or in these commercial banks, we're not going to have women accessing loans from the banks because they don't have collateral security. Like most of the times, women, their names are not on the houses that they own with their husbands. It's mostly their husband's name. So these women were saying, because we are now in power, we now understand the challenges of women, and we are also giving access to women, despite the fact that they don't have title deeds, but they are given access to that, to financing. And some were saying we're even going to Mbarisika, for instance, to go and give loans to the vendors while they are actually vending there, because we know they don't have time to come to us in buildings because we are women. So I think by having women in higher positions, it enables some of the opportunities that were not taken into account to be considered, because we are women who are actually there and we understand each other. So I thank you very much for coming with that point. And also the issue of women trying to encourage each other, trying to encourage each other, trying to encourage each other when they are in positions, and pulling other women to rise up is something that is very critical. I always say, for me, I don't believe mostly in the pulling down of other women, because it's something that also have been over talked about. But if you want to look at it, women were also thriving to pull each other up. So we thank God that at least there are women, there are stronger women like yourselves who are up there, who would also be having the same spirit of pulling many others up. We are seeing many women being appointed in boards. They are also appointed to diplomatic positions because of some of the influences that might be there, because you are also closer up there. So if women on the line, if you have any questions, I've said, can you keep your questions? Towards the end, I would also give the time for you to come in and ask any questions that you'd want from the Honorable Prosecutor General. And if you don't want to open your mic, you can also write it in the chat bar and I can ask on your behalf. So we are now going to the second chapter or paragraph, where we are also doing our book reading. Now we are going to the Innercircle, Contracts and Recruitment. This is page 108 to those 105, those who have the book. It says, reportedly, the majority of consulting and employment opportunities advertised in public newspapers are already earmarked for males with ties to inner circles. The vacant announcements only serve as a tick box exercise in performative equal opportunity. Women perceive the process of applying for jobs that were originally intended for men in their inner circles as a waste of time. Certain women in professional settings disclosed that they attended interviews merely as a procedural requirement for a male colleague to secure their position. Then a direct quote from a professional woman's voice. One woman said, I was invited for a job interview and I prepared for the interview intensely. I did not get the job, and I was told by a colleague who works at the company that the job was earmarked for a male friend of one of the inner circle's members. I was there to formalize the appointment of this male friend. Males exploit their positions to set up other males for future managerial opportunities, whereas this does not apply to the majority of women with their own networks. Males employ an inner circle approach to devise strategies for advancing the careers of their peers intentionally, create openings for positions or temporary placements or promotions so that inner circle members may assume managerial roles strategically designed to further their careers. So most of the times, males, they open up opportunities for other males to come in. And even if those other males, they don't have qualifications, you'd find that a male leader who is in the inner circle would be brave enough to support that male and be prepared to mentor that male to continue applying or to get the job. I heard someone saying, when males, they look at the job descriptions that are out there, even if they know a quarter of the applications, they apply confidently because they know other males who are in higher position would hire them and they're prepared to mentor them. Unlike a woman who would sometimes be 100% having all the requirements that are on the job descriptions, but they shun applying because they are saying it is already taken by someone else. So I just want us to come in on this, Honorable. My question is, this is what the majority of women are facing in their professional career, where they are just going for interviews as a formality for a man who has been earmarked to be given a job. Do you relate to these challenges that these women are talking about? And what is your advice to these women who have suffered exclusion? What do you say to them? Are you saying they should give up? Are you saying they should lead away? They should continue pushing? What do you say? Have you experienced it? Or if you haven't experienced it, it's something that other women are saying they are experiencing. So I will give you the time, Honorable, to come in and have your voice around this matter. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olivia. Yes, this is very real. Mm-hmm. Some jobs are simply advertised as a formality. The candidate will be there already. Because these inner circles, they believe in loyalty. So they don't want any strangers or coming in to join the inner circle. So they would prefer their own. So they would actually go head hunting their own. After head hunting their own, in order now to fulfill the requirements, they will then advertise for the post. But the post is already filled in. They are simply wasting everybody's time. You may find that the preferred candidates have the least qualifications. But that preferred candidate will still get the position. And the position, in the past, these positions will be for males. Women used not to get to these top posts, and it was the norm everywhere, even in government, until the government changed the laws. So when the government changed the laws, they came up with policies which determined, they would simply say, you become an assistant law officer for 2 years. After 2 years, you become a senior. And then after that, you become a chief. But when you want to go to the post of judges now, those positions which matters, those were in the past, they were occupied by males. But with the laws that I have read, they've been opened up to women. So myself, I was very lucky that I came in when the laws were already in place, and I did not experience some of these things, although our colleagues experienced the segregation. Okay, so my advice is that life is a journey filled with twists and turns, challenges and triumphs. It's easy to get discouraged when faced with such obstacles, but it's important to remember that setbacks are a natural part of the process. The key to success is to stay determined, keep focused on your goals, and to persevere through adversity. As women, we know where we are coming from, and we know where we want to get to. So we must not be deterred by some of these issues. We must keep on going by maintaining a clear vision of what we want to achieve. And we must stay focused and motivated. When we are faced with these challenges, let us remind ourselves of the reasons why we started the journey. Let's visualize the satisfaction and fulfillment that we will experience when we get there. We are not only fighting for ourselves, but we are fighting for future generations. So it's not about us. So if we understand that it's not about us, we will not give up. And now that we also have women in leadership positions, although still very few, because if you look at parliamentarians, if we look at ministers, they're still very few. Why? Because even the environment, some of the environment would just want you women to keep away from such environments. No one wants to join such environments. But we keep on going, because it's only when more women join that we can only change that scenario. So perseverance is very key. It takes courage and resilience to keep going, even when things get tough. So whatever we face is an opportunity to grow and to learn. So let's embrace the challenges as stepping stones towards our ultimate success. So I'll simply urge us women to stay determined, to stay focused, and to stay persistent. With dedication and perseverance, we can overcome any obstacle and achieve our dreams.
That's really profound, Honorable there. For me, what I liked about your advice is to stay determined and persevere, even in time of adversity. Is really something that we need to continue as women. As you were saying that mostly when you join as a legal officer or a legal assistant, you'd find that there will be so many women. And then when you go up to judges, they are now becoming fewer and fewer. But if you persevere, if we keep pushing, we would also defy the odds. Because right now we are also having more judges who are women. We are still behind in ministerial positions. We are still behind in board positions. But at least for the government is trying, especially for the board members, to include the women. So it's something that really has touched me. And I also like your point where you said that you need to keep fighting. It's not about you. It can be about the future generation. What you are fighting now, it would open doors for the future generation. It would open doors for these new entrants that we are talking about in the professional world, who would enjoy the benefits of being a woman, because there are other people who have fought for it. For now, we have you as the first female prosecutor general. Is because of others who have gone before you, who were advocating for women to occupy the bigger positions. So I hope this is helping us as women to say don't give up, even if the positions that you are going to is just formalizing the males who have been there. Continue applying. They'll become tired of you. Persistence works. They'll become tired of you, and one day they will hire you. And when you do it, you're also advocating for other women to come on board. So that's very good. And for the ladies, we have just joined us, and males, we have joined us while we have started. We are happy that at least we have Honorable Prosecutor General with us, and she's answering some of the questions. If you have any question that you need to ask me towards the end, may you keep it, just pin it, and then I would open the floor for you to ask your questions. And if you don't feel comfortable in asking it, you can write it on the chat, and then I can read it for you. So we are continuing with our book, Voices of Professional Women, and it is a book that has more than 64 voices of different professional women. We have brought in their voices and we have compiled them. So now we are moving on to the third question, and before we go to the third question, we do a book reading of what we are talking about, and then the Honorable General Prosecutor would come in. So the topic that we are now going to is male versus female inner circles. The manner in which the male inner circles generate opportunities for one another surpasses that of female inner circles, whose approach is comparatively less. As women are still in the process of acquiring this knowledge, they are rarely positioned in positions of authority that can directly affect the employment of personnel or the allocation of funds. The fact that men typically countersign women's decisions dampens the vitality of women's inner circles. One voice says, I'm a senior leadership and have observed the male inner circles creating opportunities for other men. When I try to do the same for women, I do fail because the CEO and chairman are both males, so they override my decisions. This naturally excludes women from getting new opportunities. As women, we are still far from having our own vibrant inner circles that make decisions because we do not hold ultimate positions in organizations. As senior women stated during our interview, that is exceedingly challenging to compete with or surpass male inner circles due to the fact that caucuses are held after business hours. Typically, mothers utilize these hours to the fullest to interact with children prior to bedtime. Caucuses are conducted in nightclubs, taverns, and golf courses. The locations chosen for these caucuses exclude women by their very nature and are designed to maintain a significant opportunity disparity between men and women. Furthermore, certain males employ sexual abuse as a means to entice young women into transitory inner circles where they are permitted to remain for a brief period of time while enduring abuse before being expelled when the males have had enough. This has resulted in a bad situation in which many women who responded to the survey feel excluded from the pinnacle of their professional advancement by male inner circles within their sectors. So this is what women are going through, Prosecutor General, and I'm sure most of the women who are here would resonate with this one. To say the male inner circle is really tight, it gels, it's something that is controlled, that they want to make sure that women would not get in. And when they are having the caucuses are normally after hours, and they are in nightclubs, they are in beer halls. While the women, we have a second shift, we are now home, we are trying to take care of the family, you are trying to do even some care work if you have a relative who is not feeling well. And this is how the male caucus is strengthened. But I'm happy that we are also starting these professional women's conversations. It means we are also trying to have our own inner circle where we can also create opportunities for each other. So the question that is there is, what is your proposal, Honorable GP, on how women can maneuver and support each other just as male inner circles? What is your experience on this? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olivia. It's very true that as women, we must now create our own inner circles. We should also create our own networks. We must build strong networks. We can meet times that we want to meet, and we can also choose locations which are ideal to us as women, because we must not force ourselves to go and join these men in the tavern. We must maintain our feminism. We must maintain our dignities. And we must also create mentorship. Let's seek guidance from experienced women in leadership. As women in leadership, we should be able to provide mentorship, and we should be able to provide guidance to the junior women. I'm very happy that in our office, the Prosecutor General's office, we're already doing that. We are also building our own network, and we are building these women up and building confidence in the women, telling them that they can still also do it. And especially now, they should take advantage of having a female Prosecutor General so that they can also be advanced. So we must attend networking events, attend industry conferences and events to connect with influential people. We must also join online communities. There are professional groups online and forums which build relationships and partnerships. And as women, we must continuously learn and develop ourselves. We must not shy away from self-development. We must pursue advanced degrees, certification to enhance our skills. We must also train, we must participate in leadership development programs so that we also stay abreast of the modern leadership styles. Let's stay updated. We must keep up with industry trends and best practices. Let's also showcase our achievements. Let's create a portfolio highlighting women achievements. We must, as women, volunteer to give presentations and participate in public speaking opportunities. Let's not shy away from that, because that's how we can also benefit and encourage other women doing the leadership roles. Nothing is special in joining leadership roles, so we must encourage them and do away with these stereotypes which say leadership is for males, so that we know that even women, we can also do it. Let's leverage on social media platforms to share our expertise and build brands, e.g. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And in our jobs, let us be assertive and let us be confident. Let's not be afraid to advocate for ourselves and negotiate for fair opportunities.
Wow.
And we must have self-belief. Let's believe in our abilities and don't let self-doubt hold us back. And we must project confidence in whatever we do. As I've said, we are coming in from an inferior position from our male counterpart. So we must go the extra mile. Yes, and present ourselves with confidence and with poise. Confidence looks good on every woman. You easily win the trust of those around you if you are confident. And above all, let us excel in what we do. Yes.
Wow. Wow, that was a mouthful. I'm sure all of people who are on the platform, they have benefited from those snippets, and I'm not going to take much from this because we have said it all. Build confidence, build networks, empower yourself. It is telling with what Sekai was saying during our last professional women's conversations, where she was saying, please, women, don't just hold on to your degree that you had maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and you still saying, I have my bachelor's degree in law, I have my PhD in development studies, and you hold on to it. You fail to upgrade yourself with the new trends. Now we are talking of climate change, and you fail to upgrade yourself. We are talking of AI that has come, the leadership that Honorable Prosecutor General is talking about, and then you keep saying, oh, I am not considered, they don't like me because I'm a woman, but you fail to understand that there are new trends that are there. May we upgrade ourselves in order for us to be better and to be competitive. Thank you very much for such for such a good snippets, Honorable. The last question that I'm not going to read the whole page, the whole paragraph that I wanted to read, but I'll paraphrase it. It is male inner circle impunity. The main issue which is here is when women who are women of integrity, women who are transparent, sometimes when they resist the unfairness at workplaces, when they are unwilling to embark in corruption or in something which is not fair, then they are sacrificed by males. And I'll just give a voice of what other women say. They said, if you are an independent woman who says no to bullying, who has principles, and who is assertive in the workplace, this does not augur well to most male bosses. I had a very nasty experience when I challenged unfair practices at my workplace. When women have the courage to combat corruption and stand up for what is right, they face opposition from multiple directions. The survey participants emphasized that when they stood up for what was right, they encountered repercussions such as non-renewal of contracts for those with fixed-term obligations, revocation of previously concluded or sold agreements, and isolation. Black women employed in white-dominated fields believed that the white supremacy agenda was being communicated in a manner that was so ambiguous that it was impossible for them to provide proof of discrimination. And another voice is saying, being a woman of color, working in a male-dominated white-dominated environment, I was made to feel so small or unwanted. I could not bring out my argument of mistreatment because there was no tangible evidence. I could put through to my human resources managers. I am therefore working in a hostile environment as a woman. So I just want to ask you these two questions, Honorable Prosecutor General. The first one is the backlash that women face when they stand up for what is right. Have you ever faced this in your work life? And how did you deal with this issue? If you have not faced it, what can be your advice to women who are facing this? And then the second question is, what are your parting words to women who are facing racial discrimination at workplaces? Over to you, Honorable Prosecutor General.
Thank you very much. Ourselves, we are very lucky that we are lawyers. So as lawyers, once you face anything, you deal with it in terms of the law. So that's how I've been dealing with it. And make sure that you take it to its real conclusion. I still remember one time the boss was the one who was fired and we remained. So my advice to women is that they must stay true to their values. Never compromise your beliefs or principles. Standing up for what is right is a courageous act that can inspire other women. Because if you don't stand up as women, so it means that all the women will be afraid to stand up. So let's not be afraid to stand up for what is right. Let's also build a support network whilst we are doing that. Let's surround ourselves with supportive colleagues, mentors, and friends who can offer encouragement and advice. I think we now have a lot of women lawyers. Let's liaise with them and get legal advice wherever necessary. And as women, let's support each other. And as that is happening also, it's very important to document everything. Keep a record of any incidents of discrimination or harassment. This can be invaluable should you decide to take further action. And don't hesitate to seek professional help. Sometimes these backlashes can cause significant stress and affect your mental health. So let's seek professional help, counseling, therapy, And I've said this is very important to know your rights. Familiarize yourself with the workplace policies on discrimination. These privileges will empower you to take appropriate action.
Carissa, can you unmute? Thank you. You can go ahead, Prosecutor.
Thank you. And as women, you must always know that you are not alone. Many women before you have faced similar challenges and have overcome them. As I have said, we are in these leadership positions because some women before us fought these wars. Although they did not get to Prosecutor General level, we are enjoying the fruits of the wars which were fought by other women. So we must also continuously fight for those who are coming behind us. By staying strong, resilient, and advocating for change, we can create a more equitable and inclusive workplace for all. And then my parting words for women facing racial discrimination. Racial discrimination in the workplace is a pervasive and deeply harmful issue. To women facing this challenge, I offer these words of encouragement. You deserve to be treated with respect. Racial discrimination is never justified, and don't justify it. Demand to be treated fairly and with dignity. Don't let it define you. Racial discrimination is a reflection of the biases of others, not a limitation of your ability or worth. Remain with your worth. Seek support. Connect with organizations or support groups that can provide guidance and resources. SWALA, Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association, for example, which assists women in those predicaments. So it's very important to have their numbers and reach out to them. They can offer support.
Wow, thank you very much for your wise words, Honorable General Prosecutor. I like the part of mentoring, getting mentorship from others, and also just to know that there are women out there who are able to mentor you if you want to be mentored. So it is always good for you to look for mentors who can actually help you grow, or who can help you when you are having such challenges that we have been talking about. I also like this stance of documenting everything, and it is very valuable. Let us not just say, no, this is just for prosecutors, this is just for lawyers. If there is anything that is happening in our workplaces that we are not happy with, just have the habit of documenting, because that's the evidence that is needed, and seek professional help. Honestly, for women, sometimes we really need professional help, because if we don't, we can actually drop dead because of depression. So we just thank you for these words, and I like the racial discrimination is never justified, and don't let it define you. Because for me, I have worked in white male-dominated environments, and for sure, if you allow racial discrimination to define you, you become inferior. But don't let it define you. That is a very good word that we have given to us. So I just want to open this floor for anyone who wants to come in, so that we can close off. But before I open the Prosecutor General, there are people who have just written some comments in the chat bar, and they are saying they don't have any problems by having you as a female PG, as a boss, because your leadership style is good and it is helping people to improve the skills, and you are an example to other women, and you are a best leader. So these are some of the compliments that are coming in. So well done for being a beacon for us as women. And I just want to open this time for others to ask questions before we close off. I have seen Star, you have your hand raised. You can come in, and if there is anyone who wants to come in, you can also raise your hand, or immediately after Star is done, you you can also come in. But I just want to urge you that stick to a minute for your questions so that everyone can everyone can ask the PG any questions, and we don't want also to go over time. So over to you, Star.
Thank you, Dr. Olivia. Congratulations once again to the PG. You're setting a good role model to the kids that are upcoming, and also even to us to aim higher. You continue to break the glass ceiling, and for that we really appreciate you. My question is, over the years, how have you maintained your grace, your civility, and kindness when you are faced with hostility, where you are saying that you are a victim of male privilege, where you're actually saying that this decision was made within a male circle? How have you managed to maintain your emotions, and what advice would you give even to someone facing a similar situation? Thank you, and over.
Okay, that's fine. Do we have anyone who has a hand raised? If you have, can you just come in? Yes, Patricia, you can come in. Then Muchanita, you can also come in after Patricia. Patricia? Okay, or Mucha, you can come in if Patricia is not ready. Muchanita, do you want to come in? Or maybe it's a mistake on the hand raised. If not, yes, Mucha, you can come in.
Yes, I wanted to say on that part when the National Prosecutor General said that I think we should connect, we should link. We should meet in places where we are comfortable, because it's not everyone who goes to places that are hyperactive like so when we ourselves and try and meet, discuss, share ideas, I think it will also help us a lot. I appreciate that part. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
because you find some people they connect because they know each other, like maybe like at church or wherever, and you can have those degrees, you can have those qualifications, but without connections, without connecting with other women, then you are as good as someone who has no qualification.
Yeah, that's true. The power of connection. The power of connection. I always give an example when I'm doing my parenting sessions to say sometimes if you don't connect your children with the right people, they might have all the qualifications, but they will end up not having the right opportunities that they want in life. So there is power in connections. But I'll come back to you, Honorable PG, for you to come in with the question that Star has raised, and then you can give us your last closing remarks, because we are now running out of time. And I was just teased to say the one who said you are very good is Justin Udali, so that you know about it. But I'll give you time to come in, and then you can say your last words after answering Star's question. Over to you, Prosecutor.
Thank you, Dr. Olivia. Yes, I just made a conscious decision of the person that I wanted to be. I set my goals, and as I've said that I grew up in a church family. My father was an evangelist, and I grew up under the word. So I learned humility, I learned kindness, I learned how to deal with conflicts from an early age. And we were taught that we must never be determined by what people say, but we can make a conscious decision of saying who we want to be. I align myself mainly with the word of God, using godly principles what it says about me. So I take the word and I speak the word to myself. So that's how I cope. So whatever I set myself to achieve, I just pray about it. After praying about it, if I feel good about it, I go for it. That's what I do. So that's how I keep my dignity. I maintain my composure. And at the end of the day, people come from various backgrounds. So we must be able to deal with all those people. Each one according to his or her own case. We must not bundle people in one group. Yes.
Wow. Thank you very much for that. I really like the issue of setting up your values and also to learn humility, kindness, all the spirit, the fruits of the Holy Spirit. You really portray them. So thank you very much, Honorable Prosecutor, for coming online. And I also want to thank you all for coming to these women's conversations. I'm also saluting Mrs. Chipo. Mutasa, she also led one of the women's conversations. She's also up there as our as the chairperson of Mutapa Investment Fund. So we just want to thank God that in those women's conversations we have bigger people who are ready to mentor us. So let's grab that opportunity to be mentored by women of excellence, by women who are there to raise other women, and we have the trend of raising other women. So thank you very much for this session. We meet again. Our last monthly sessions for this year is on the 15th of November. Then we break and then we can start in January. So on the 5th of November, we are having 4 different women who are coming to talk to us